Coming at you from Scratch Wolf Studio. It's that time again to rage across the internet. It's your very favorite Werewolf the Apocalypse podcast. I'm your host, Porter. Sitting across from me, give him something to break, it's Mr. Daniel Tyson.
Hey, everybody.
To my right, the man can throw a yellow stone. What does it even mean? It's CJ.
Howdy, yo.
And far to the left, I don't think I have a third thing. It's M.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to Rage Across the Internet. So if it's your first time, this is a show where we cover all aspects of Werewolf the Apocalypse for both storyteller and player alike. If this is not your first show, welcome back. It's good to have you as always. My dear Pack, how are we doing?
Doing awesome.
Oh, doing good. A little hungry, but promise not to talk about food during this week bullshit on my end.
I don't.
I don't. Porter doesn't. I do. Maybe. We'll see.
Doing pretty good. Just missing warm weather a little bit.
It's getting warm here.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though. You know, last week, I think, during recording, I was talking about that fan. It was like 80s, high 80s all fucking week, and I ordered that new wall fan or window fan, and it's been 50 degrees every day ever since.
Yep. It's like, man, it got really warm. It's probably a good time to order a new fan.
Right? Yeah, it's coming in, and then, fucking I had it in the one night, right, just to get everything set up, and It was 40.
So not necessary at all.
It's like getting fucking frostbite in my bedroom.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But before we get to the show itself, we have a little segment we like to call This Week in Bullshit.
Yeah.
Where we spend about 20 minutes bullshitting around, let you guys know what's going on in our lives and general pop culture bullshit. So, Who is first?
I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna make it real quick because we said it last time. Where Woodstock 99, and then give me something to break.
Oh, yeah, I didn't set you up for that at all.
Yeah. I have no idea why, because I do not listen to him. At least not anymore.
He says.
Yeah, no one believes this.
I know it's... Jesus Christ. Well, like... One of the recommended YouTube videos came up, and it was one of the shorts, and it was like, hey, Limp Bizkit is touring again. I'm like, why? They ran out of Coke money, probably? And then Fred Durst looks like a mall Santa with a hat on.
And with a construction vest from the picture you showed us.
Because I didn't think you'd believe me when I said white hair.
You're gonna have to put that in the show notes.
Okay.
Done.
Yep.
Because he looks like a crossing guard.
Yes, he does.
And I feel like that's probably what he's been working on until he got the band back together.
The band back together.
Well, I'm using quotes for the band. You can't see the quotes.
See, and I remember this a few years ago. There was a commercial with, like, it was probably a car commercial, like, get a new car or something because this one's bad. You don't need this one anymore. And the guy's car was stuck on the one radio station or the one CD that was stuck in this radio player or whatever the fuck it was, and it was Fred Durst singing some Limp Bizkit song. Then Fred Durst himself is walking across the street super slow because he's old now. Fast forward a few years, and they're on tour.
You need more than the crossing guard money. I will say this. He actually directed some films.
See, I didn't even know that.
He did. In one in particular, is a movie called The Fanatic with John Travolta and Devon Sawa.
See,
hold on.
Oh, I didn't know he directed it.
Okay, but fucking hold on. All right. In this movie, all right, there's some things about the movie. It's a different thing. We're not going to go into the movie itself.
Fair.
However, there is a scene. Devon Sawa plays a famous actor. A bit of a stretch for him. Sorry, guy. Who is picking his kids up from school, and on the radio, Limp Bizkit comes on.
Of course they do.
And there is, at that point, it's like a 5-minute scene of Devon Sawa talking about how awesome Limp Bizkit is.
Oh my God.
Directed by Fred Durst.
Of course.
Yep.
It would make way more sense if it was just ripping apart Limp Bizkit.
But
And
But it's self-indulgent.
Yeah, you would have to have a sense of humor about yourself for that.
With them going on tour again, I think something about the break should be probably their main should be the main thing, because it might be a hip.
a hip. Or both.
CJ! That was awesome.
A+.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. It's like that Hugh Grant movie, Music and Lyrics, where he played the 80s pop star. And like he broke his hip doing the pop thing or whatever.
Remake.
All right, Magnitude, what do you got for us today?
Nice Magnitude.
I'm going to talk about food.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah. So, as you guys know, I love fish and anything fish related. Here, though, one of my favorite things, I love shrimp.
Shrimp's excellent.
Yeah, I typically like shrimp, though, warm and cooked into something or like sauteed as a side. That's not very popular here.
That sucks.
Yeah, so cold shrimp is popular here. And I'm not sure how I feel about it. I've had it a couple of times and it's just a different vibe. I want to like it.
Put it on the bobby.
That's
They
not...
typically do like a piece of bread with some butter, mayo, lettuce, and then cold shrimp and some like,
like a
what is
po'
it
boy.
called?
That sounds like an extra po' boy.
What is it called? The fish eggs? Caviar on top?
Jesus.
Yeah. And so that's typically what they have here as shrimp as a really popular dish. I really want to like it. I think I need to try it a few more times because there's been a few times that I've eaten it and it was nice. It's just not the same as warm shrimp for me, though.
Yeah, poor M moving away from cuisine.
We did. There was a Thai food truck here in town.
Or were they like, get out of here, that sounds too tasty.
No, so the Thai food truck though, I did get warm shrimp in that meal, so that was really nice because they cooked up the warm shrimp with the meal that I got, and that was delicious. The person before us though had ordered theirs with beef and accidentally got shrimp, and they had to remake it because warm shrimp isn't popular here, and he didn't like warm shrimp, so they had to remake it for him.
Oh, that's crazy.
Which, of course, he ordered something different, which makes sense. But it was just funny. People don't like warm shrimp here, so I can't make it here
weird.
because
You can do anything but your heart.
I've tried to make it for him a few times. He just doesn't like it. He picks the shrimp out.
Look, you are in... Well, that's more shrimp for you, frankly.
Exactly. I get to eat it, so yay me.
Yeah, that is so weird.
I know. I want to like the cold shrimp. I think I'll just have to try it a few more times.
I mean, shrimp cocktail is a thing, but it's...
Yeah.
They have some other things here, like liver paste. I really like that. That's pretty good. Nice and salty.
World of liver... And the walrus assholes.
No, none of those.
Like shrimp.
Not
You didn't
seen
deny
any
it the
of those.
first time I said it, so it's canon.
Nah.
But
Not
the
canon.
shrimp cocktail is pre-cooked shrimp and then frozen.
That's cold shrimp, though.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of shrimp cocktail.
Yeah, like I don't think anyone was suggesting raw.
Yeah, it's not raw. It's pre-cooked.
All right, just checking. 'Cause, hey,
served
you're in
cold.
a totally different country. How the hell am I supposed
Right?
to
You
know?
have left flavor.
You left Flavor Town.
There's so much mayonnaise on everything. Too much. They have a sandwich cake here.
Sandwich
It's a
cake.
cake. Yeah. No. It's a cake,
With
but it's
mayo.
all sandwich stuff. So it's like, it's white bread, mayo, cheese, sandwich meats, more bread, mayo, cheese,
God.
sandwich meats, more bread, mayo, cheese, sandwich meats. And then
Sounds a
it's
little
like
awesome.
cited with, I guess, mayo. I don't know. And then it's topped with fruit and meatballs.
Oh my
What
god!
the fuck?
Now we've gone into wacky town.
Yeah.
Like this is like an extra big club sandwich with fruit
Yeah.
and meatballs on top.
I liked it. It was good, but it was just a lot of mayo for me.
And blink
It was
twice if you
tasty.
need help.
Right?
I don't need help.
But you just remember, okay? We'll keep an eye out. Mine is not mayonnaise related, sadly. I feel like I've let us all down.
Let us.
Oh, Christ. Lettuce and mayo.
Let us have some lettuce.
Yeah. People are going to laugh at that, and it's going to encourage him.
Yeah.
Cut it. Cut it.
No. I'll say it 4 more times if I have to.
How dare you? I've been rewatching Parks and Rec lately.
Nice.
And I never forgot how much I love that show. But that show is so good.
It is.
It ended at the right time. Like, I mean, there's parts maybe, like, I don't love the time jump, but I respect the time jump they did. You know, I thought the ending was outstanding. You know, people complain maybe about... And season 1 needed a little time to get its footing, but there was some great stuff in season 1, too.
Yes.
You know, people don't like Brandanowitz. He's fine. He went as long as he was needed to, though, is the thing. But like, that show had so much heart. And like, I mean, if you're out there and you have not watched Parks and Rec, you need to correct that situation in your life, because there's a Ron Swanson shaped hole that needs to be filled.
He's a good character.
Oh man.
Agreed.
Even some of the actors from the show have, like, they just love that so much.
Well, how could you not?
Rob Lowe has his own podcast that he named because of the show. He named his show literally.
Who's that? Who's Rob Lowe?
He was Chris Traeger.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He was literally the most positive person you could encounter.
Yes.
Love that character.
Yes. So now Rob Lowe has his own podcast that he named literally.
I mean, it resurrected his career.
Yeah.
And again, like, I challenge you to you can't bash that. It's so good.
It is.
I mean, that was really my thing, is I just, you know, it's been going over that again. It's like, oh man, he just hits all the right spots. It's one of those shows that you don't want to watch all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just revisit every now and then, and you get those moments, and it's like, oh yeah, I got you good. CJ, how about you?
I don't got much going on right now.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, well, that's a good-looking dog you got, though.
Bit of a
Such a
menace.
cute little guy there down by your feet.
But menace. He said menace.
But
Let's not forget that part.
Besides the point, it's not my mess he's cleaning up, so fine.
Yeah, all right. No, that dog is a trap. Because we have heard, and this might go up too, I don't know, right? A picture of
Oh, it wouldn't be the first time.
right?
Yeah.
This is such a gorgeous dog. This guy, I want a dog now because I've seen this dog. I'm like, fuck you, I want him. And he's like, yeah, but he fucking ate my little sister and found the Lindbergh baby. I don't know what.
Perfect.
He used the picture from last game day when he was trapping me at my desk and give me all that side eye.
Trapping you. Like, oh, well, he's on my foot. I guess I can't move ever again.
That was a great picture.
Yeah. Very cute.
CJ's got the best dog who's a total dick. Let's hop into our episode. And this is a topic that we have not discussed in like 4 years.
Yeah, it was...
So there's the stretch of time here.
It was September.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't know if it was September, but it was in 21. So it's been a while.
And we have a list, and it's Em's fault. So thank you, Em.
You're welcome.
Well, no, you know, when she came on, you know, proper, she went through the list, and here's some episodes that
We should probably redo.
Right? Some topics that we haven't put too much attention to. Fuck yeah. So we've been hitting those every now and then. And so we're talking about a topic that's you have an opinion on.
Yeah.
No, I think I like that too, because I think we all have different opinions on it, on the subject.
Agreed.
That's
Yes.
good. So what we're talking about today, and this was almost a 101, but no.
Nah, it's not necessary to be 101.
It's not just a basic thing.
No, it's true. And that is session 0.
A first look into the game before the game starts.
You know, it could be the first look into the game, could be setting up like characters and everything, getting people on the same page, pitching the game, or like be session 0.5 because it's not quite the game, but leading into it. There's a lot of things you can do with session 0.
Yeah, it's a lot of things.
And that's something about it too, is because it's kind of ill-defined because of so much that can be accomplished there. So, I mean, let's start off that some of the things that you can incorporate into a session 0. And I think, like, for one would be the preludes. Now, this is something that should, I don't know, be done separately or previous to getting everyone together, but it's not necessarily necessary to do it that way. And of course, the prelude is the section of the game about your first change to when you are brought into the nation. It is the thing that's supposed to happen before everyone's together. It's you guys getting black bagged and waking up in the turned over van.
It's something that I've done a few times for different groups, where I've done it like in session 0, where it's just they came with their characters mostly fleshed out and backstories written. So it was like let's clear up a few things. Anybody got some final changes? Okay, let's run through these preludes and get you guys situated.
Session 0 could also be getting together with the group and trying to figure out when you're going to play, what types of characters you're going to play, what the setting of the game is going to be, and just kind of getting the baseline down.
Oh, absolutely. It's also a good time to go over rule sets, maybe any changes. I mean, that's the thing.
House rules.
Yep. That's the thing, is it could be so many different things. For example, when you joined up with Wherever Gaia Takes Us, we didn't per se have a session 0, but we had you set in for a couple games.
Yeah.
Prior to making your appearance known.
Yeah, so I could get kind of the vibe of the group and understand what the pacing was like, so that whenever I did come in, it was more of a smooth transition.
Right. Field it after the fact, obviously, field it any questions, which is neat, by the way. So if you're listening back to Wherever Gaia Takes Us, Em is spying on you for some of those episodes, and you didn't know it.
Yep.
We knew it.
Quite a few of them.
I was going to say she was spying on
actually.
us. She was spying on us when we were watching her do it.
Yeah, but she knew. You knew she was there. So
Yep.
you didn't know when she was coming in. That was fun.
Hey, maybe it's a fun little game people can play is guess the episodes M is present.
I think it all boils down to basically it's making sure everyone's on the same page before you start.
No, absolutely. And that's the thing, is there's no defined checklist. Things differ for everybody, but really it's the stuff that takes place before you start your first game.
Yeah.
And you can call it, like I mentioned, the preludes. You could do preludes separately and call them preludes. I mean, it's how it was introduced. Or you can call that session 0 too. Like, there's no fucking penalty for that, It's fine.
Yeah. And I will say, session 0 is one of those things that, depending on the experience of my group, will determine if we do one or not. Because, if it's a group of players that I know or have played with before, or I know have experience in the game, we don't really do a session 0. It's one of those, like, I'll lay out the rules for you if they're anything different than what's in the book. Make your character, let's get together. Maybe I'll do a pitch or something. But if it's brand new players, my first session is a session 0 where I go through all the basics that I can, get them introduced to the tribes, get them making characters. But not necessarily making their character. Get them making something just so they can put the dots on the page, just so they can get warmed up. And then I do 2 rounds of just a mock combat to get them rolling dice and get them used to the system.
No,
and that's session 0. Nothing of consequence potentially happened, but it's introducing to the world of darkness. That's the big thing.
Yeah, I've definitely had a session 0 really similar to that, where we all got together and everybody just spitfired questions at me, and I answered them or gave them a page in the book that that everybody had, and that they could go read to find the answer. If it was a really long, in-depth answer, I'd be like, hey, go read this section and that'll answer your question. I don't want to spend an hour on that. Yeah. And we also, everybody made characters we went through each one of the tribes, and I kind of gave a vibe for the tribes and some like key points of how they would fit into the game that I was planning on running. They chose what they wanted. We went through the auspices. I told them what each of them did. They chose which ones they liked. And I just kind of went through the list of, like that, going through each part of the character creation, and they were just making their characters along with it.
I mean, that's excellent. I know with Danny, you know, him and Tom, if I were to have had a session 0, like if we're going to label a thing that way, was in Danny's old dining room.
Yes.
With him and Tom. Where, you know, here's the book. And then we talked about it a bit beforehand, but this was the two of you. You had your sheets there. You're filling out your sheets. Again, I'm fielding the questions. And then we did a little bit of a demo.
Yeah.
Where I just pulled something out of my ass with, you know, them walking lost in the forest. And, you know, I had a couple spirals show up to try to go, hey, come in. We got candy in the van. Come with me in the van. You should come with me. We're going to be friends. I'm definitely not going to do stuff to you.
And at the same time, I didn't know what spirals meant.
Well, right.
The word spiral never even came up.
No, I don't think it did. But it was just a demo of what is something, a little world, little feel, a little taste of the world.
Yes.
And for them, kind of a tutorial, or more Danny than Tom, but still both. A little tutorial about role-playing at all.
Right, because Tom's done D&D before, but I have not.
Right.
At that point.
At that point. You know.
He was learning the nerd stuff for the first time.
Yeah, he took to it pretty well. Both of them did. And that was fun for me, too, because, like, right now, right as we game, you know, obviously, you and CJ are aggressively not here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
So I can't.
Yeah.
I don't have the freedom of movement and as much access to like the use of body language as I normally would. Because like Danny, I'm sure you recall.
Oh, yeah.
I was walking around the table. You know, I'm behind Danny.
Little whispers.
Yep.
Little creepy messages.
Little tickle.
Hey now. Hey.
But, you know, that extra stuff to help set the mood. This really sounds like a different thing now.
Yeah.
What you said tickle?
We didn't. The litany was fine.
No, it added a higher level of creepiness to that specific character.
Well, sure. And I mean, the idea was to get you into the game and into the setting and trick you into playing.
It worked. Congratulations. Trick solved.
He's here now. Maybe session 0 is a good place for, especially for newer players, setting the tone / the expectation of what the World of Darkness is. You know, if for a moment going outside of the World of Darkness, like if I'm running a horror game in D&D, I'm probably going to let my players know in a session 0, like, hey, this is going to be a more horror-aligned adventure. It's not going to be the, let's go through slapstick comedy through the dungeon and get the treasure. So, of course, you know, setting that expectation, giving them the ideas of like, yeah, no, I'm probably going to brush up against some stuff that's going to either make them uncomfortable, maybe scare them a little bit. But we're all adults here, or at least should be mature enough to handle something making us mildly uncomfortable, as long as it's handled with respect.
I think that's a great point. I'm with you there. Because yeah, the World of Darkness, despite what some might believe or put out in a press release, isn't about hugging and sunshine. It is called the World of Darkness, you know?
It's not a fun place.
Right? There's some dark
In the
things.
name.
Right? It's supposed to be dark. It's supposed to be gritty. Should challenge you a bit if you have more delicate sensibilities. Now, that's not carte blanche for a storyteller to be like a prick, but that's also not the subject of the episode right now. So, but no, you're right, is to set down to make sure everyone who's playing this game understands that they are playing in the World of Darkness, that there's going to be unpleasant shit. That yes, a girl might show up in a fridge, and that's not the end of the world or super uncommon.
Right.
This is a murdery place. This is an unpleasant place. This isn't D&D where that would be out of character to open the treasure chest and find your cousin. I don't.
Or do you know kick down the door to like the woodsman's shed and he has a kid chained to the radiator?
Right. You know.
You find a basement full of chained up people. It happens. That happened in my first game, and it's a little. Oh, that's creepy, but also it's the world of darkness. You continue.
Christ, Danny and I are pretty close to Detroit. That's just a fun weekend. You get the right neighborhood.
Fun weekend.
Well, it depends on what side of it you're on.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
You're holding the whip, you're holding the chain. Come on.
Oh, yikes.
Hey, and depending on the forces that are involved in a particular scene, it's not impossible to have a pattern spider crawl out from behind your eye because you botched a peeking roll.
Right?
Yeah.
People. Yeah. Yes, we'll even go like with like fears and stuff. I'm like, yes, I have a fear of clowns. If Porter brings a clown into this game, I'm not gonna get pissed off at him for bringing a clown. Like I might.
You might. Well, you might because odds are I'm fucking with you specifically.
Yes,
but that's a you specific thing. Agreed. Because we go back for several reasons.
Right,
yeah.
But if there's a clown in the game and it has something to do with game. I'm not getting mad at you
for there to be a clown there.
Whatever the case, right? I'm not getting mad because it's something I'm uncomfortable with. I'm going to suck it up and deal with it because it's part of the story and you have a story to tell.
But I appreciate that.
People who are used to role-playing know this line, and they're used to continuing through the things that creep them out. For example, I really don't like people in giant costumes. And Porter's over here with the Teddy Talltale giant doll, which gives me the creepy creeps, but Carly is whatever about it. Yeah, Carly's whatever about it. But I, as M, don't like people in costumes. But people who aren't quite proficient in roleplay, the session 0 is to kind of maybe give a demonstration, kind of tell them role-playing is different than real life. It's a game. It's a way to break through those boundaries. It's fantasy. It's fun.
What absolutely is. And I think it's a great point you bring up too, because I think it's a great avenue for self-help, because it is fiction. So, it's
not real. It's not going to actually hurt you.
Right. And then that's a good step. And it's the same way like you see with people with social anxiety in chat rooms. Right. It's like, well, the chat room is a way to help get over your social anxiety because you're not there face to face with someone. You can practice speaking with someone. It's kind of the same thing. If you're afraid of spiders, talking about spiders should not be a problem. But if it is, it will help you, I guess, build up that tolerance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a thing people don't talk about often, but if there's a way you can better your position in life or improve it, you can use role playing for that. And I think that's one of the great things about what we do here.
I agree. And I do that myself. I have a huge fear of, clowns, but like public speaking. Like I get called on. Public speaking sucks. Like they're asking me questions at work and I need to stand up so everyone can hear what I'm saying. And like, no, I don't want to do that.
Says half the cast of the fucking werewolf podcast.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, meeting new people to me it brings me so much anxiety, meeting somebody new, because I'm the kind of person who mildly adapts my personality to the people around me. So if I don't know a person, what do I adapt to? And it's been interesting being in the werewolf server because I've met so many new people and I am actually kind of being myself, and it's interesting and weird and kind of fun.
I agree.
Role playing with different groups. I've learned to talk to new people, and role playing is just a fun way to get to know yourself and get to know others.
And don't forget about all those people you're meeting while talking to the same guy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm role playing character. There was a specific example in the game the other day where KT was upset, and Carly, as the character, would have known how to comfort her. And afterwards, Porter and I had this conversation. Next time, maybe I just ask how I would do that in real life because I don't know in real life how to comfort a stranger, but my character would. So maybe I just ask next time and I can role play that out. And that would be an awesome learning experience for me. Because comforting a stranger to me sounds terrifying. I don't want to touch a stranger when they're upset.
It's like the
my character would know how to do it.
It's like Alec Baldwin with the broom. Oh, they're there.
Oh,
They're
right,
there.
right, yeah. But no, these are great examples, of the people don't think about, people don't talk about.
No,
but it can, just this role playing, it can make your life better. It can enrich it, and
Yes,
it's a great thing to do, to be a better version than who you were the day before. Because you sat in a room with a bunch of other people and pretended to be werewolves for a few hours. That sounds absurd as shit, but there it is.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And like going back to session 0 for just a little bit, yeah, if you're the ST and you're setting this up and you've set these expectations, then congratulations. You've just set this up for all these people to be able to potentially grow as people through just having fun being 10-foot tall murder monsters for a while.
Yeah.
You heard it here.
Porter, I think you're the one that mentioned having a miniature role-playing session during the session 0.
Yeah, I threw that in because, they were unaccustomed to it.
Because that sounds like a great idea, especially for new role players.
Right? It's just, and again, mine was just, they were lost in the woods together. Why? Doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Don't question it. Right?
You're lost.
Right? And then they came across 2 other people out there who were friendly, but in a way that maybe you're gonna murder me and steal my wallet.
A little too friendly. Yeah, why are you being this friendly?
Right? And then you twist it to start to freak them out because they think it's funny. And then, Danny and Tom get freaked out a little bit and things start to get aggressive, but they don't know what they're fucking doing. So what happens? There's a howl in the distance and a couple other packs come running through the woods to go after these spirals. And fade to black, I think I did a second one too, didn't I?
Like a follow-up, yeah.
Yeah, with the calm, and you guys were, I think it was more of a tech demo. Because that was just atmosphere, the first one. The second one, yeah, it was you two once your characters were made so you could understand what the game was like.
Right.
Right before actually playing, so if you needed to make tweaks, if there's something didn't feel right. Yeah, it was you guys with the calm, where you infiltrated that high-rise, and Dooley bought the hammer to hack the PC.
Yes.
It's like he adapted a Game Boy with a floppy disk, because 90s. And to download from the computer, and he had to hit it with the hammer to break the access codes.
In one of my session 0s, I did a mock combat after everybody had made their characters, just so everybody could learn the combat system. And I didn't look at the character sheets, I just let them make it, and then I did the mock combat. But during it, somebody had put all of their dots into melee and no dots into brawl. And I had asked everybody to switch into Krynos to practice Krynos combat. And that's when that person realized, oh, I should probably put some dots into brawl. And so he was able to move everything to where it worked for his character, because he wanted his character to be, he was an Auron. So he wanted his character to be really good at combat, and he realized, oh, I kind of suck with my claws. Let's change that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Fun thing with that, to set expectations and everything, whenever I do my little demo combat for my session 0s, especially with new players, the first round is them just throwing a couple punches at each other in Hamid. Get them rolling dice, keep some small pools, and then I have something like a Scrag show up. Shift up to Krynos to explain how you do that. And the moment they realize, why am I rolling like 5 extra dice now? Oh. And then they actually roll that damage, the new damage pool, and it's like, now you're feeling how powerful this is.
That's a smart
These are just
idea.
numbers just a second ago. When you dealt maybe a bashing damage for a punch, and now you dealt 6 ag at once.
I like how we're unwrapping this, right? We're seeing the different.
Yeah.
It actually makes me want to bring up, and this wasn't a session 0 thing, but this is maybe food for thought too, right? If you're doing combat demos in the Virginia games, I felt that some of the players needed a refresher, like they weren't taking silver seriously.
Yep.
So I had them do a mock combat, each of them having a clave. And when the one player died after getting hit once, suddenly
respected it a whole lot more.
right. They're like, oh wait, I can't soak this. So wait, so all this damage just goes through? Yup.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yes, it does.
And that's actually something else on turn 2 when the Scrag shows up. I don't tell them they can soak stuff. Turn 3, I'm like, okay, here's a rule that I forgot to mention.
Ah,
Oh, look,
Yep.
you just took 7 damage. Roll your stamina. You took 2.
oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm amazing.
Yeah.
When they start getting super injured and those dice start coming off of their dice pools.
Mhm.
Oh, outstanding.
And once again, it's setting that tone, setting the idea. It's also a perfect time to get real creative with those combat descriptions. Because if they've realized they can't handle whatever you're cooking up for this demo, then clearly this isn't the game for them.
Right. I would like to go back, mentioned house rules, but rules in general.
Yep.
Obviously, the rules of the game are important. I mean, obviously. And, you want to make sure everyone's on the same page with the house rules. As extensive as they might be, or put into a book that will eventually hit the storyteller's vault. Hopefully. Jesus Christ.
Well, fingers crossed.
But I'm not talking about so much of those, although that is very important. So there's no confusion. Don't be afraid to ask questions on that too, for you players out there in this situation. Questions are always good. But
Yep.
what I'm talking about is the rules around the table. Stuff like setting up scheduling. If there's rules about food, like if you're all under the same roof, shit like that. That's the time to point out the importance of being on time or notifying people if something comes up or.
Right.
Because sometimes we forget. Okay. I'm not calling anyone out. I don't even have anyone in mind to call out, but I'm not calling anyone out here.
Or pointing fingers, right?
Right. But sometimes, especially in this day and age when we play so many games online, we forget that there are real people on the other side of the screen. On the other side, it'd be the screen or the screen, right?
Either one.
I got Danny here. He's physically, I can throw shit at him. He's that close. Like I can't hit him, but I can throw shit at him at least.
Why'd you do that?
But
If Annie's late, you can give him an earful about it and probably pop him or something.
Well, sure, but that's not even the point yet, right? Is you, CJ, and you, M. CJ, you are a day and a half away. M, you're actually less, but it's by plane. So you're both closer and farther, I think.
It's about the same by
really?
plane. It's a long plane ride.
Is it really?
A lot. It's
I'd have thought 4 or 5 hours.
Try
I've never taken an international flight, okay?
an 8-hour, a 2-hour, and a 2-hour.
Jesus. So yeah, it's about the same distance. There you go.
Yeah.
Texas, Sweden, same thing. Confirmed. Now,
Sweden's just or cold Texas.
but here's perfect. That's getting used in the future. Now, no, but for real though, these are real people. I can tell because the cameras are on, but again, jokes aside, CJ is dedicating time out of his life and rearranging his schedule to sit here and do this with us. M is doing the same thing, but 6 hours ahead of us. Right? And that has to be respected.
Yes.
That is my point, is that everyone is giving time from their lives, and we are all adults here, so we all have busy schedules. We have jobs and kids and responsibilities and shit we have to do. And you have a group of people willing to sacrifice time out of their life to come together to do this thing, and this thing is fun and it's great, but we have to respect that time and respect each other here. These are real people. These aren't just names on the internet. And it's something to keep in mind because I think a lot of times people go, oh, it's just the internet. It's not just the internet. It's M and it's CJ and they matter.
And Session 0 is a good place to test that.
Exactly.
Hey, have your group set that time, set that, day of the week. And, give the okay, we're probably going to be gaming for 4 to 6 hours. Use Session 0 to test that. If somebody has to run halfway through because of a work thing, then okay, this probably isn't the best idea for the day. Especially if it's not out of the ordinary for them to get called in or something.
What's the thing? Sometimes shit happens, and we understand that too, because again, we're adults and we live in the world, but there are exceptions. And the worthier part here is to make sure to remember that the people you play with are people.
Yep.
You know, how often do we hear it's just the internet, it's not real life? It's their real life, though. They're not imaginary.
It's unfortunate that happens.
Yeah.
But it happens.
I don't think it hurts to remind people. And I think, you know, Session Zero can be a good time to help hammer that home to make sure that, you know, I mean, hell, we do this here. I mean, we don't have a problem with it.
Clearly not.
But, you know, what's right? I'm sitting here fucking about it. But at the same time, like, we have a soft deadline to when we are done now.
Yep.
Because M does need to go to bed.
Can't get too late for me now, so we can't go into all hours of the day like it used to be.
Right. You know, I remember before you guys, before the podcast, you know, it was me, Danny, Jessica, and Tom.
Yes.
Sitting here in my, you know, sitting at actually almost the same place.
Almost.
Like everything was 3 feet over there. You know, actually playing game, and it would run late. It's Sunday, and now it's 8:00.
Yeah.
And it's, I hate breaking up a session, but you guys have wives who are mad that you're not home already. So let's pause this and pick it back up. We have, I mean, how many shows have we had to cut where we did because of responsibilities and things? You have to be mindful of it. And again, you lay down that kind of groundwork in the Session Zero. It's an important thing to do.
Agreed. Big time. Agreed.
Another very good thing for Session Zero, especially if it's people not new to the World of Darkness, it's a perfect time to clear up misconception. Whenever I started running Werewolf, my entirety of my first game group were all vampire players. So I started off with comparing a lot of stuff, you know, like, okay, this is the equivalent of the clans, the tribes, etc., etc. But then once we got to the point about rage, I made sure, like, okay, this is very clear. This is not the beast. This is not a pure curse that's going to make you inhuman and make you eventually, like, lose the game because your morality tracker hit 0. No, this is a blessing from Luna to make you a better warrior. Yes, it has some downsides or some drawbacks, but to the Garu, it's ultimately a good thing.
That change in perspective is super important.
Yes, I mean, I get it, especially if someone's coming from the opposite side of it.
Well, even that, right? I mean, not just the opposite. I mean, I know you mean vampire, but I mean, even then, and I know this isn't necessarily related, we can shoehorn it in here insofar as it's a good thing for people to know before they start the game, therefore it can go on Session Zero.
What was that?
You heard me. Is you know, again, the perspective to take on. You know, be you a vampire player or a demon player or a wraith player, a wraithman as they're called. You know, and D&D guy, right? Like you're a D&D, and I think D&D is, I think, probably more egregious. I think D&D players have a hard time adapting. I found,
especially with the dice.
But here's the thing, right? Is like you're the hero. You are the plucky hero, theoretically, in D&D. You're John Heroman. You're Joseph Gordon Diehard, and you know we know this story. You know King Arthur and Conan, and you're using that. But in Werewolf the Apocalypse, and I think this is true through all of role playing, really, and all the games. But you need to shift your perspective.
Yes.
From the hero, Conan, hero man, to, well, now you're here, and the lines of what is good and bad are not the same is over here.
Right, yeah.
I've said it multiple times, right, that objectively, humanity is an antagonist in the world of darkness. And some people will hear that and it disconnects because they're used to D&D. We're like, no, I'm the hero because I'm human. You're saying I'm bad? No, because we're not in the world of darkness. In this pretend world, from the perspective of the one who is trying to save Gaia, the guy who put a nuke on her is the bad guy. And that guy was a human.
Yeah.
Like an easy example is D&D. You and the party are going and clearing out a cultist base. You find somebody chained in the basement after the fight. It's like, okay, cool, we got to let him go. Now, Werewolf, you're going out fighting the cultist. You've shifted. You're tearing them apart. Oh, look, there's a human who's freaking out. That's chained up, ready to be sacrificed, and they saw the whole thing. Somebody's got to die.
It's unfortunate, but it's the reality of World of Darkness.
Right.
Something I've noticed, though, with some of my players, the ones that come from D&D versus the ones that come from something like Vampire, the ones that come from D&D understand the teamwork and working together that Werewolf has, while the people that come from Vampire maybe take a little bit longer to understand that the pack is working as a group, not as individuals. And so some of those aspects of role-playing from D&D translate over really well into Werewolf working as a team.
It's actually it's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up. That was fucking good job.
It's almost like one of those games you're playing a selfish parasite looking out for only number one.
Yeah. Well, in D&D, you're working with a group, you know?
That's going to be my downfall and my upside, I guess, if you want to call it that, when I run this little one-off game that I'm going to do. Because
they're D&D players?
One of them is. The other 3, maybe just 2, have never played any role-playing games at all.
So you're dealing with fresh slates.
That's fun.
Probably the best thing.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, we're going to do D&D first. So D&D is going to be very fresh, even for the ones who have never played anything at all. Yeah, there's a 50-50 there. It's going to be like the best part of it, also the worst part of it.
Sounds like you need a good session 0.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh
yes,
my
it's
God.
going to happen. Which
Whoa. What good timing.
No, actually, running on that, Danny, because you are theoretically going to be in that hot seat soon-ish. What do you think you need? What are you concerned about? Like, I mean, it's hard to go because you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Right. But sitting here going, I'm going to have to do a session 0 pretty soon.
My fear is that they're going to want to just do the one-off, but they're going to want to have something already pre-made for them so they can just pretend to be that. They're not going to want to start from the beginning. And I feel like the starting from the beginning is going to be super important. So I know with the D&D, he has pre-made characters, and we're just getting a pre-made character, and he's just going to run a quick campaign. That makes sense to me for D&D. It doesn't make sense to me for Werewolf.
Well, I'll tell you what here, champ. You, like we talked about this earlier. You did that during the combat demo.
Yes.
You as established characters met with the calm in a fucking warehouse and planned out the thing, and there was bourbon involved, and you went. Remember, there was the distraction in the lobby, so you guys could go up, and you had to fight the guards while Dooley got the thing, and I think someone got thrown out a window.
I think that was me, but yes.
I mean, whatever, right? And then, did any of that happen in the actual game? Did it have anything to do with anything?
No.
Right. So if it's just a one-off, I think
it'd be okay for just that?
Yeah, you can do a pre-made. I mean, Christ. How many players?
Me as a storyteller, 2 to 3.
So maybe you pre-made the Silent Howl.
Okay.
And you run a plucky Silent Howl adventure. Who wants to be Sage? Who wants to be Sekhmet? Who wants to be Ron?
Okay.
Do you need a 4th? Bring in Rune Elterone. Bring in Sarah Soft Howl. Bring in Brock. I mean, there are NPCs, right?
Yeah.
Rowan Blood Tears, for fuck's sake.
Okay.
You know? Rune. He was actually a member of the Howl.
Yes, he was.
You know? But so you make those pre-made sheets, you do an adventure, but you tell these guys this is an example of what happens later. These are advanced characters. When we do it, you're going to get the full experience. In a better one, you're going to start from the start, and that's really going to be a rewarding time.
Okay.
You're not going to have the same bells and whistles as these guys, but you're going to earn that shit and have all sorts of cool experiences.
Like, you could start that game with them, you know, in the elevator up to, like, the floor where the Fomori have made, like, a little gore nest almost in this big office high-rise that they got to clear out.
Okay. This is...
Like, you could start literally in the middle with that little demo.
Yep.
Having them fight the real bad guys, the Fomori. Doing something nasty up there.
This is
like listening
excellent.
to disco.
Yeah, how dare they?
Watching some like Cake Wars or whatever.
No, I'm getting serious ideas. That way, if they decide that they like it, we can actually start a game.
Mhm.
Like, you guys just wanted to do a one.
But this is the world you're in. Isn't this interesting, right?
Right.
So make some of your own characters where to start. And here's the fun thing you can do too. And I do this to you guys, right?
Mhm.
You ran into the Silent House. You ran into the Calm.
Yes.
You did a job with the Calm in that demo when you ran into fucking, there's Jude, Dox, and Dooley. You know those guys.
Yep.
Okay. No, I'm getting serious ideas now. I like this.
How psyched would you be if Whiplash showed up in the fucking next game?
Very.
He's not gonna.
I know, but like,
It'd be super weird.
it would. It'd be super weird. But like, yeah, you're absolutely right. I would get super psyched.
Because you have that connection with the character. And so if you're making the pre-mates and they were those characters, well, then now you know if you have a game you're going to continue, make the Silent House part of the supporting cast.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Or the Rabies and Shanes or whatever. But you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. I might even do the Wrath of the Blood Moon. Get a little self-indulgent just in case they don't want to keep going. But
if you see you have that right as a storyteller, you can get a little self-indulgent. Just the game's that about your character. Remember that.
Right.
Yeah.
You're allowed to.
this is good. This is going to help.
Look at this extra thing we packed onto the Session Zero episode. That
Yes.
wasn't really Session Zero, but it's still.
Well, not only that, but like I can throw this episode at those guys. Like, you have to listen to this one before we do this.
Maybe not this one.
Well, there's a few of them there that I've given as a list.
Yeah.
The Pitch. The 101s.
Mm-hmm.
The 101s, I'm sure, be helpful.
Yeah.
Might be.
Why not? We had to have done an episode on the tribes.
Yes, we did.
I don't remember
Yeah,
what happens
yeah,
in my
it was
life
in-
anymore.
It
Dementia
was in one
setting
of the
in.
101.
Okay.
The Tribes, yes, we did the Tribes.
I believe CJ. We got backup from Danny. All right, it happened.
Oh, man, that's good, though. That's really good. I like this. Thanks, guys.
Which one of you was Lincoln?
Which one?
No problem.
I think at the same time, Session Zero is going to be, especially if I run these for these guys, it's going to be what I'm expecting of them, and then I'm going to be asking what they're going to be expecting from me.
Okay,
So
it's not
I
bad. Definitely.
I think as a storyteller, if you're running the Session Zero, find out what your players are going to be expecting from you.
Expectation management's a good idea. It'll you do one better is if you don't have something planned yet,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't shocking, right? Because if
Never done this before.
well, that too. But again, if they're making their own characters as opposed to a pre-made, if it's a pre-made, you can plan some shit to
Yes.
a point, right?
Yeah.
Because you know who those characters are. But I generally, I can't write a story if I don't know who I'm writing it for.
True.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible. I know I can. I need to know who I'm dealing with.
Yeah, whenever I do session zeros, I like to ask if we aren't making the characters that day in the session zero. I like to ask my players what kinds of characters they're planning on playing, or maybe even what tribes or auspices they're interested in, so that I have a direction to go as a storyteller. I also like to ask them if they're interested in more of an urban environment, because I personally really enjoy writing like urban settings in Werewolf. I'm a fan of the urban tribes. But if they're interested in something a little less, I am willing to go and write that as well. So if everybody's interested in something that's more suburban or rural, I'll go write that kind of story instead. So asking those questions of what the players are expecting out of the game, as well as me giving my expectations to the players, and kind of having that back and forth conversation in a session zero is really beneficial.
Yep, absolutely. And it's, yes, thank you. You know,
I got you.
You did. It's fucking excellent. Because, yeah, I mean, there's so many different things you can write.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so many different avenues to go. And so to get that kind of feedback, I guess it's not feedback at that point, right? It's to that those expectations, hearing what the players are interested in can help guide what you're writing for your chronicle.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like, maybe this is something to also consider, is come up with like a couple types of stories, or at least like styles, you know, could like link back to certain medias of, you know, a more supernatural-esque like road trip, and like kind of pitch a couple of these ideas if they don't have anything really concrete because they don't know the World of Darkness as well, and see which ones they react to the most, or which ones they say sounds more interesting. Like, hey, do you guys want to do more of like the spiritual spirit realm, kind of dealing with more abstract concepts, the gritty urban, you know, fighting the bad guys on the street sort of thing in the middle of like or, you know, in the alleys while trying to stay hidden, or once again, the more road trip monster hunting. Give them like a couple of those examples, and if they latch on to one particularly, like, hey, congratulations, there's a good bit of writing started right there. There's a jumping off point for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe one of the ideas you come up with, if you come up with 2 or 3 kind of pitches, one of them is going to speak to a number of the players.
Mm-hmm. And if not, panic. Just definitely panic.
Yes.
Yep.
Just panic.
Yeah, just
grab your flamethrower and panic.
just flip the table over and run.
Leave everybody there.
Yep.
Maybe if your dice are out, throw a couple down like a smoke bomb. They'll be super confused when nothing happens.
10s. Just run.
Grab some of the D4s.
Just eat the character sheets.
I like that idea. Nick Miller? just Nick Miller. Just
Start sweating profusely.
moonwalk backward.
That'd just be normal walking. Moonwalking backwards is just walking.
Yeah.
Fair. Just start moonwalking out. Awkwardly moonwalking. There we go. Awkwardly moonwalk away.
Which reminds me of the Community where they had to do the celebrity look-alike thing.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff's in great danger.
The multiple Jeff wigs.
Oh,
Beautiful fucking show.
Oh man.
Which, funnily enough,
Mm-hmm.
fucking look at this accidental segue.
Whoa.
In the Virginia games, it was Community's Advanced Dungeons and Dragons episode that got that game together.
That's so awesome. Maybe I tell him to watch that episode.
Well, and that's why I bring it up. You know, it had just so happened that the guys who became my first 2 players, you know, they were brothers, and there was an age gap between the 2.
Right.
So their mother was trying to get them to do stuff together to try to forge a bond because there was like a 10-year age gap.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the younger one was a D&D player. And the other one was my drinking buddy. And so was not a D&D player. He was we played Drink the Beer. And he knew I had a background in it. I introduced him to Community. You know, he'd come over, we'd drink and watch Community.
Sure.
And so he got to that episode and he saw and he looked over at me and he goes, "Is this what it's like to play?" And I'm like, "Well, kind of."
A little bit.
I mean, it's kind of, yeah. And that's how that game started. He's like, "Okay, well, let's try werewolf. You know, fucking I trust you, Porter. Let's try this werewolf." And you get my brother. And I'm like, "Yeah." And so that's how it started. Again, bringing it up because that's something that maybe you can show to people to prep, I guess, a pre-session 0.
Yes.
Like a double
What it's like to role play and act like somebody else and communicate with others as another person other than yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, a fun example. Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
Not Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
Don't be a Pierce.
Yes.
Don't be Pierce.
Excellent.
It's hot and my balls are touching zipper.
It's not from that episode. It's one of my favorite Pierce quotes.
I know it's not
No, I know,
episode,
but
it just popped in my head, that's all.
Oh, fuck no. One thing I will say, Danny, especially for you in this case, whenever it comes to your session 0,
Yes.
if they don't have an idea for the characters yet, or, you know, they don't already have like that jumping off point, or they still need time to work on it, I would recommend having them at least pick their auspice before the end of the session 0.
That's what's rolling in my head. Yes, like I'm going to ask all 3 of them what they would be interested in, and if I can get them all to pick something that they're interested in that could all possibly be one of the packs, whether it be the Rabies and Chains or the Calm or Wrath of the Blood Moon. If they all line up, that would be great. If not, then I'll probably come up with something. But it's just, again, rolling in my head. Ideas.
Yeah, I mean, well, in my mind, with the having at least the auspices pick, if you know nobody wants to play a Thurge, don't lean into the spirit stuff.
Yep.
If nobody wants to be the Ragabash, maybe avoid the more like clandestine sneaking into like facilities or something.
Don't set
go a little louder.
Don't set the big battle at the Pie Factory.
Yeah. And stuff like that. And another thing that I do recommend, because this actually came up in last episode tangentially, that I've done in my session 0s, whenever I get to the explanations of the auspices,
right,
I have my players look up what moon was in the sky when they were born, to give them that connection to potentially that auspice of like, hey, this is what you would be if you were a werewolf.
Okay, so if they can't decide, then let their birthday decide for them.
Start with this when you're explaining what an auspice is, or you're explaining the auspices to give them that initial connection to at least one of them.
Right.
Fair. Okay, that's a good idea.
It says I was born on a half moon.
Okay.
Oh, that's Philodox. That means this.
Yeah. Similar to that of astrology. What would this mean if I were in this world?
But don't use Garo astrology.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad, but it will break your brain and their brains.
Yes.
Kind of like.
Yeah. Stick with Luna.
I like how this has turned into changing Dan's session 0.
I mean, establishing Dan's session 0.
Establishing, yes, even better.
We're helping you out.
And I appreciate it, absolutely.
And hopefully this helps out people who are getting into it. So it's a win-win. It's fine.
Fuck yeah.
This is the practical example.
And we've talked about this before. We've also talked about not doing this at all before. So to clarify, again, this is kind of closer to the 101 shit, is, we've spent years talking about ringing the bell, but they're just starting. So it's okay to not, is this the point?
Yes.
Is to keep it simple for them when they start.
Correct.
And, we can, you put the ball on the tee and then they can hit it, and then they can get the wiffle ball with the big club thing that's not really a bat, it's just a red club.
It's just a stick.
Yeah, it's just like it's huge and looks like a fucking dinosaur, like from the Flintstones, and then and then they can work up to little, you know what I mean, with these baseballs, for real. But yeah, don't be afraid to keep it simple.
Yes.
We don't want to overwhelm new players.
That's my other fear.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I keep it simple. When you talk about the Fianna, on a normal day, the last thing I know you want to do is use words like
Irish werewolves.
Right. Is you don't want to say I know you. You don't want to say the word Irish.
No, I don't. But I'm going to have to.
Right. Yeah. Lean into that. You're not Braveheart. You're not, Gimli the dwarf from Lord of the Rings. But no, maybe you are a little bit. Yeah. Just for the simplicity of it.
Today. For today and today only, yes.
Today you can get away with it. You're Lucky Charms. Fine. But we're going to teach you above that later. But for now, it's okay.
I have ideas. I like this. Thanks. This is fun.
I have a thing. It's mildly shifting topics, but still session 0.
That doesn't sound
so. You mentioned, yeah, I know, right? You mentioned you have a player coming from a D&D background. I've also had players come from D&D backgrounds. I have my own opinion about this, but I would like to hear your guys's. In D&D, you do not want a group of all paladins or all rogues or all the same. You want something of each. Now, in Werewolf, we have all the different auspices, each filling a different role. A lot of people might feel that you need to have different auspices for each player. What do you guys feel about that? Because I feel that you could have some overlap in auspices in a group, while it's nice to have different auspices. Is it necessary?
For session 0 and like a demo, I would say yes, it is necessary just to show them more flavor.
Yes, agreed. 100% on that.
But for actual game, no, you could have as many of the same auspice in a pack as you want. Just, they're all going to play a little different.
I was going to disagree, but I like their position for the purposes of the demo. I like their position better. That said, I will say I always prefer, the diversity in auspices because you have a more well-rounded group, people who, the different aspects of the game and of the Gyro Nation can all be covered equally. That, with that though, there is, I can see the appeal to certain extents of doubling up on an auspice. I mean, again, I don't prefer it, but the idea of, right, 2 Thurges with drastically different philosophies when it comes to dealing with spirits, or 2 Auron who both think they should be in charge and here's why, and the way those can butt heads, I think that makes for an interesting dynamic, but it's not what you want in the beginning, and it's definitely not something you want for a session 0 for a demo like that. Personally, I would rather not double up on auspices unless it's necessary. Could you imagine if you guys didn't have a Thurge again?
No.
I mean, I can't imagine.
Like, M's like, no, I have to be a Philodox or I won't play.
No, I was a Galliard at first.
Yeah, I know, but we didn't have a Galliard there either. Right.
Oh, that's true.
So, suddenly we have 2 Philodoxes, but no one knows how to talk to a spirit. Look at this huge section of the game that
we had to cut out
or dumb down because you don't have people equipped to handle it.
Or who's going to have to play the half Philodox, half Thurge.
In which case, just play the damn Thurge already. Quit being stubborn.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I switched from Galliard to Thurge, because I was already half Thurge.
That's true.
Well, yeah, see, and what I want to do, at least for the quick one-off, is here's the list of tribes, here's the list of auspices. You all get to pick one. Nobody can have overlap. But that's just for the first one. If you like what you got, great, we'll keep going. And then we can switch them up.
If you want to try something else.
Right.
Yeah.
It's preferred that you guys all don't take the same of a tribe or auspice, but if there's a little bit of overlap, I'm not too concerned. That's at least what's, again, rolling in my head.
No, it's fair, but I think we're pretty well. Try to get him to take something different. And again, explain to him that this is just for the demo. Right. And again, of course, if you're playing with pre-mades, you can ensure that it's,
yes,
just only make one out.
Yeah.
Right, and that's my plan. I was gonna try to find out what they're interested in.
Another thing you can do that I've had some success with, I will say some. Whenever you get started, before you even explain the tribes or auspices, give them just the general feel, the general vibe of werewolf, and ask them if you had to make a character right now, what type of character would you want to make? Because that might help you figure out okay, they're leaning more in this direction. Maybe mention these few first. The person wants to play the urban survivor. The guy who can get around the city, no problem. Can go about unseen because nobody really knows they're there, but at the same time, they could take out the monster that's, hunting somebody in an alley. Bonar or Glasswalker. Easy.
Well, and definitely lean into fun. Again, I have spent 5 years telling you to eat your vegetables and, how to do this, but you're starting out. These are new players. You fuck with the rules. You can fuck with that a little bit to make sure everyone has fun. And then once they get hooked in the world, now you can turn up the dial.
another point of like, turn up the fun aspect. I mentioned that earlier, like, them going up the elevator to go hit that floor filled with Fomori and everything. Have like 80 Fomori in this place, but like every success on damage, that's a dead Fomori. And just narrate them ripping these things apart as they're going through the building.
I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
I'm gonna fight you. I'm gonna fight you on that one, CJ, because it's gonna give them a false impression of combat.
Fair. I might have turned that dial just a little too far.
A little too far, yeah. Because suddenly, they're killing.
Don't put it on hard mode, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you want to give an accurate representation of what combat is. Because how pissed are you going to be when you play the demo level and people are just exploding, and then you go into the first level and nothing has ever exploded?
Fair enough, yeah.
You'd be like, I thought this was Dynasty Warriors. This is Mario Brothers. This is not the same thing.
No, this is Dark Souls.
There you go. That's probably, but suddenly I'm seeing the Goomba in Luigi with like a halberd. And
That's kind of cool, actually.
I think somebody's made that mod.
I have little doubt.
Mario with a long bike.
Mushroom Kingdom Warriors.
I know there's a Zelda, or Legend of Zelda.
There is.
Like Dynasty Warriors.
There is. I'm just like, you guys are assholes. What's happening here? No,
Sorry, I was just thinking about somebody dipping fries in mayo.
That's good.
What's wrong with that?
It is good.
Like, where did that come from exactly?
Because there's mayo everywhere, remember?
There's mayo everywhere.
That's a good callback from an hour ago.
Oh.
I think what we're all trying to say here is Session 0 is all about expectations.
Yeah, setting them up, making sure we're all on the same page, and getting the rule set, everything right in line so that everyone can get together and have a great time, and they can all subscribe.
Yes.
And give us YouTube thumbs ups and good reviews.
Yes.
And then you go, thanks, RAI, for helping my group get together. Our lives are better now, and here's a bunch of money and a contract for Hollywood somehow. It's totally realistic, too. The first part, though, the first part is the thing you can do, and we'd appreciate the next parts. I don't believe your Hollywood contract, but it's fun to pretend. With as much you can do, as much that can be accomplished. Mm-hmm. That whether you call it Session 0 or not, right? It doesn't matter what you really call it.
Doesn't matter. We all know what
the fact of getting together before the game starts to get those ducks in a row, to get those expectations set, to get to know a group that doesn't know each other otherwise. Mm-hmm. Also, by the way.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be a single session. It could be a Discord chat that you've set up to talk this out for a while. Also true.
Yeah. Again, the term Session 0 is limiting all by itself.
Right.
But it's just a thing it's the label, whatever. The Weaver wins.
This is just the pregame setup.
It is. But I do think, unless we have some final thoughts.
No, I think my final thought was just, let's make sure the expectations are there. Everyone.
Like, the only thing I think I could really add to this right now is, just because you've listened to us go on about this for almost an hour and a half or less, I don't know, Timeverse and
close
editing.
Enough.
Yeah. This is really cool. This is a really helpful thing. This is a really good thing. If you're an experienced ST and you're experienced players, you might not need this. Mileage may vary. Don't have to do a Session 0. But it can be helpful when you need it, especially for new players.
Yeah. Agreed.
One thing I'd argue, you still need to set up the stage for personal expectation with the game and house rules and shit like that. So I think there's a need for some of it, but not all of it.
Yeah.
It could be done, depending on how new the players are, within 10 minutes before the first session, or as you're choosing characters and getting together as a group for the first time, or be an entire, couple hours in an evening, or just 1 hour. Mileage varies.
Yeah, it's the thing too, right? Is you can't predict fucking...
Yeah.
Nope, not at all.
could take 10 hours. I mean, sorry, could take 10 minutes. Or
It could take 10 hours, though.
Yikes.
Yeah, or it could take 10 hours. Don't do all that in one setting, though. That seems a little long.
I don't know if they can handle it, man. But yeah, call it just the prelude sessions. Call it your pregame mixer, your session 0.
Pre-game mixer. Yeah.
Crash course.
Yep. Call
Get to know yous.
right? Call it fucking tailgating. Whatever. What? The game hasn't started. You're in the parking lot. You're tailgating.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's still a party.
That's right. Point is, make sure, you have a good time and everyone stays on the same page and fucking, I don't know, rock and roll, man.
Hell yeah.
It's crazy. It's like
Hells yeah.
It's like my weakest ending in a long time. I don't know. Just have something. This is why we don't roll for social interaction. Because imagine that being an acceptable end of the show. Just whatever.
So whatever.
Oh, I rolled 10s. No, you have to like this.
Into the silver record you go.
That's right.
Yikes.
Awkward.
Yup.
No, but for real. Thank you all, because this is about our time. Thank you all for tuning in and joining us. And, on behalf of everyone here at Scratch Roll Studio, we appreciate the hell out of you. And make sure you take care of each other. Look out for yourself, too. But, remember, it's crazy times out there. Let's keep our heads about us. Think about the perspective of the people next to you. Make sure they do the same for you. We're all in this together, so let's focus on the stuff that keeps us together and not the stuff that tears us apart. Fucking be good, or the guy will get you.
There's mayo on everything.